guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I'm going to be sharing with you 10 tips for helping you have a nice quick and fast labor and delivery. If you want to check out my labor and birth story, I will link the video down below. Please check it out. I had a very quick delivery. I pushed for 8 minutes in total and I was at the hospital for 2 hours until I had my baby, and then I stayed for 4 hours, and yeah, the rest of it is in my birth story, so check that out if you want to know some more details. So let's get started with today's video. I'm sharing with you my top 10 tips for a fast labor. This is my personal opinion. These aren't like professional tips or anything, so yeah, I'm just trying to help if you're having a baby, because the last thing you want is to be in a really long labor or even a delivery. My delivery was fast, but my labor wasn't super quick because it was my first baby, and the first one's always the longest. So I know with my second baby it is going to go super fast because I had the best birth experience. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so my first tip is to make sure you're moving in different positions during labor. So you do not want to be stuck in the one position the whole time, because you are going to be in labor for a long time if it's your first baby. Mine was 26 hours, which is ages, but that is from like the starting contractions, which were really far apart, to like having a baby. So make sure you're going in different positions. So like lying on your side, lying flat is probably not the best, but you could do that in like early labor. For me, the best pose I think is to do the child pose, where you're like laying, like, you know, in yoga when you stretch and you do like the cat stretch pose where you're like, it's hard to explain. I'll try and insert a photo over here. But so you lean forward, and what that does is it takes the baby off your pelvis. I know you think like bouncing on a ball and stuff to make the baby push down and out is good, but sometimes the baby's not in the right position, so you need to take the baby off your pelvis so that the baby can rotate and get into the right position and then move down. So this particular pose is great for that. Alia for me was facing the wrong way, like she was posterior, I think it is, and her back was against my back, which is not the right way to be. So I did that child's pose to get her off my pelvis and to rotate around to the right like way. This helped me so much. Towards the end of my labor, I pretty much was in that pose the whole time, because it was the only thing that was taking off all that pressure on my pelvis and that shooting like electric pain that you get that shoots up your vagina when you're in labor. And sometimes just through pregnancy that happens, so not fun. So yeah, make sure you move into different positions and let the baby move and adjust themselves so that they know how to come out. Okay, my number 2 tip is to do the Rebozo technique. This is where you take like a scarf or any sort of like long material, and you get a partner or a friend to wrap it around your belly. So you get on all fours, they take the material, put it onto your belly and lift up a little bit, and then they shimmy your stomach and your tummy jiggles so that the baby can get into a good position. There is a lot of videos on YouTube if you want to watch it that will explain it way better than what I'm trying to explain it right now. So it's called the Rebozo technique, so definitely have a look of that. Definitely look that up. It will help you a lot. Okay, number 3, this is for a really fast delivery. This is to do perineal massage. You can do this with olive oil or coconut oil, which is what I used. I started at about 35 weeks and I did it once or twice a week, and it's just where you take some of the oil, or you can get like certain massage oil for it, and you just warm it up in your fingers, and then you take your fingers and you put it down there and you like rub around your perineal, and you like sort of, you're stretching it out basically to prepare your vagina for birth. So this is really helpful, and if you're scared for your first baby that you're going to tear, I didn't tear my perineum, it stayed intact for my first baby, which is crazy. How does that even happen? But yeah, so definitely do some perineal massages. There's a lot of technique videos on YouTube as well. Yeah, so because I'm not going to show you how to massage your vagina on camera on my channel, so yeah. Okay, number 4 is also for a fast delivery. This is to not have an epidural. I know saying that, it's like, you know, how can you just say don't have an epidural? Some people need an epidural, or if you're having a C-section, yeah, some people need an epidural. So Don't, obviously, still have the epidural if you need it, but if you're trying to have a natural labor, really, really try not to have the epidural, because it just makes your like pushing stage so much longer. I pushed for 8 minutes. I didn't have an epidural. It's just because you can feel where the baby is and your body just naturally pushes on its own. It's really hard to explain, but you just like lie there and your body just, you know, pushes for you. You don't, it's like you're not even trying, it's just happening. You just have to let it happen and help your body do it. And when you have an epidural, you can't feel that. You only feel the pressure. So it takes longer. Well, some people have a fast delivery with an epidural, but I know that a lot of people have a really long pushing stage because you can't feel the baby properly and you're just exhausted, because some people push for like 2 hours or 4 hours, which is crazy to think. Like, I was at the hospital for 2 hours and then I had a baby. So to think that someone's pushing for 2 or 4 hours, like, would be a nightmare. So good job to all those mums who pushed for that long, because, oh my God. Okay, so the 5th tip is to make sure you're emptying your bladder during labor and make sure you're peeing a lot. The reason for that is because you don't want a full bladder, because then the baby can't pass through properly and get into the right position when there's this big full bladder in your belly blocking its way. So make sure you're staying hydrated and drinking a lot of water, but also make sure you're going to the toilet. And if you feel like you're not going to remember this, put a note somewhere where you're sitting, or get your partner to remind you to constantly go to the toilet, because it will help you have a faster labor. Okay, number 6 is make sure you're sitting in a position where gravity will be helping you when you're giving birth. Laying on your back is not the best position. A lot of people do that when they've had an epidural, or they can push from lying sideways. But if you haven't had an epidural, or even if you have, try and get someone to help you to move into a position that is going to be easier for the baby to come out. I was laying on my back, and then, you know, they were checking me and I was like, no, I need to push. So they made me go on my knees and kneel, like on the bed. I was kneeling, and then my arms were on, like, over the bed, and so gravity was helping the baby come out. And then, yeah, she came out in 8 minutes. So definitely squat or hold a bar and squat while you're in labor, or lean over a ball, a birth ball, and make sure your hips are wide, because you just want to help the baby come out. You want to work with gravity, not against gravity. So just make sure you're taking that into account while you're in labor, and just tell your partner or your birthing partner to make sure you're in a gravity like position when you're giving birth, because you'll be very distracted and you're not going to remember any of these. So jot them down somewhere, or tell somebody who's going to be with you so that you can have some help in remembering. So number 7 links a little bit to number 6 when I said you can lean over the birthing ball and have your hips really wide apart. The 7th tip is keep your hips apart. Make sure you have your hips nice and wide during birth, during labor. Like, don't have your knees all like knocked in together. Like, try and really sit, like, you know, with your pelvis really open, so that you're allowing as much room as possible for your baby's head, that big head, to fit through your tiny little pelvis. It is really scary to think about, but our bodies were made to do it. We can do it. You can do it. So number 8, this is pretty much what made me have a baby really quickly, because I was kneeling on a birthing ball, rocking side to side while there was water on my back in the shower at the hospital. And then my midwife said, jump up and sit backwards on the toilet. That can sometimes help. So I jumped up, I spread my legs apart, and I sat backwards on a toilet with my arms leaning onto the part where you flush. And holy crap, I was there for like 15 minutes, and then I had to buzz them to come like check that I wasn't having a baby on the toilet. So definitely recommend, even if you're at home, just jump on the toilet, sit backwards. Because the toilet bowl is so big and your legs have to go on the outside of it, it really opens up your pelvis like as wide as it can go. And it's also relaxing because you can lean, and then your birthing partner can massage your back and stuff. So definitely jump onto the toilet, and yeah, that is going to be one of the positions you're going to love during labor. So my 9th tip is do not monitor every single contraction. This is going to drive you insane. If you're monitoring your contractions from the start of labor, like mine was 26 hours, like that's a long time to be monitoring your contractions. So just, you know, when your contractions start, check what day it is and stuff so you can remember, obviously. And then check the next few, And then you'll know, okay, they're like 10 minutes apart. But then don't just keep checking them. Give it like a good 5 hours before you're gonna check another one, because you're gonna drive yourself insane checking every single contraction, and all you're gonna be thinking about is, oh my God, it's only been 2 hours, like I'm gonna have another 10 or 15, 20 hours more to go, like I can't do this. You really need to like just think about that contraction you're having in that moment, and don't worry about the other ones that are gonna come, because you don't know how long your labor is gonna be. It could be 5 hours from now you're gonna have a baby, or 35 hours, you don't know. So just take that contraction one at a time. Make sure you're using your breathing techniques. There is a lot of information on the internet about breathing techniques and hypnobirthing, which is what I did. It is amazing. So definitely check those out. And just use the breathing techniques to get through that one contraction and then the next one. And then when you feel like, okay, they're getting stronger, or you'll just know that they're coming more frequently, then check, then time it. And then you'll know like when to go to the hospital and stuff. But don't monitor contractions constantly, because it is just not good for your mind. So the 10th tip is to just try and do normal activities. So what I mean by this is, in early labor, it goes for a long time, and the contractions are so far apart and not very painful. They're happening, but they're not very painful. So try and, eat breakfast, make sure you're eating food, staying hydrated. Go for a walk. Walking helps a lot. Definitely walk. I should have added that tip in, but go for walks. Go to the movies and watch a movie that goes for like 2.5 hours, because you're so distracted by the movie in the cinema that you're not really paying attention to the contractions that are happening. And now 2.5 hours of your labor have just gone like that. So just do normal things. Keep yourself entertained. Watch movies at home. Start a new show on Netflix or Amazon Prime. Like, just don't think about the fact like, oh shit, I'm in labor, I need to be stuck in the bed now and just lie here like a starfish. Like, no, just try and do your normal things that you would do during the day. And then once it gets to the point where it's like unbearable, then start bringing in all those position techniques and the breathing techniques. So just do normal activities, because it's just going to make you feel so much better. And before you know it, 10 or 15 hours have gone past where you've kept yourself busy and you've been in labor that whole time, but you haven't, been too distracted by the contractions. Make sure you are monitoring them when they're really close, because you don't want to, have your baby at home when you want it to be at the hospital. Because I knew that I needed to get to a hospital, and when I called, my midwife's like, no, you're going to get sent home. It's too early. Just wait another 2 or 4 hours. There's a spider over there on the window. Oh my God. So my midwife told me, no, it's too early. Just wait a few more hours and then come in. And then after like 40 minutes, I called her. I'm like, nah, I'm coming in. I'm not waiting. So I, jumped out of the shower. I had wet hair. I looked terrible. And yeah, and then I got to the hospital and I had a baby within 2 hours. So I'm really glad I didn't stay home for that 2 hours, because I would have had a baby at home. But yeah, guys, that's the end of the video. Oops. Oh, and Alia is awake. Okay, so that is the end of my video. Perfect timing. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell notification so you know when I'm always uploading a new video. And I will see you in my next one. Bye. And sometimes just through excuse me. If you feel like you're not going to remember this, because the toilet... Oh my God. Why am I choking? I think there's like dust in my throat.